pull all your knobs off. These can stick a bit, so sometimes they're a little hard to pull off. And then we're going to remove this board right here. And it's held on by a interference fit. All these little silver studs support it. So in order to get it off, you have to take a book or something like that, and you're going to put it right up against the volume knobs. And then you got to take something like a hammer or something with a little bit of weight behind it. Here we'll just use a stomp box and give it a smack. When you smack it, you don't have to smack it hard, you just smack it light. And when you smack it light, the circuit board will pop off. And you may have to also do a second one over here, or you can set the book maybe so it covers both. Again, don't hit it real hard. Usually a light tap will do it. Once it's been loosened, it's a little tricky. You have to gently kind of pull it out, move all the wires back, and you just have to jiggle it around till you get the board out. Just be gentle with it, don't force it. This is C31. Change this to 100 picofarad. You might try a 47 picofarad, but you want at least a capacitor in here. I've tried removing it all together, but it doesn't sound so good. So 100 to 47. Same thing here. You can put a 100 or a 47. You're going to make the overdrive channel sound like the overdrive 1 on a JVM 410. You need to change this slope resistor capacitor. You're going to pull this out. I think it's a 47. You're going to drop it down to 33K. And then you have to change C32 to a 3300 picofarad. Capacitor C32. Mine is out at the moment. C32 is a capacitor used on the overdrive channel, and it's normally 1000 picofarad. When you have 1000 picofarad in here, your high-end distortion just kind of blurs together, so your notes are not that distinct. When you put in a 3300 picofarad, you get a little bit better separation of the notes in the high end of the distortion, a little bit better clarity. And if you go to a 4700 picofarad, you get a lot more clarity, and notes really stand out in the distortion. You'll notice also my C8 is missing. I don't have it in at this time. This capacitor here, you can see I've actually got two that are soldered together in series. It's actually capacitor C41. The standard value, or the value that's in a JVM, is 220 picofarad at 500 volts. What I've done is I dropped the 220 picofarad down to 110 picofarads. I did this by using a 220 picofarad in series with another 220 picofarad, and that gives me 110 picofarad. These are 1,000 volt capacitors. You need that. I don't know if they make a 500 volt, but don't use 50 volts here. Make sure they're the right voltage. Then this capacitor here is C52. I changed this down to a 4.7 UF to let in a lot of bass. That might be more bass than what you want, so try a 2.2 UF. See how that works. If you like the bass of a 4.7 or a 2.2, but at times it just is overwhelming or too much, then you go down to this capacitor here, which is C76. You'll notice mine's much smaller. This is a .047 UF. So that cuts a lot of the bass going from the first tube into the second and third tube. So that's another way to control your bass, is by lowering this value. This is really hard to get out. You have to unsolder one lug and then gently pry up the capacitor and then reach in and solder the second lug. So this is pretty difficult to remove, but you just take your time with it, you'll get it out okay. R71, I have a 300K resistor piggybacked on the back of R71, and you can see it's just three 100K resistors braided together and just piggybacked right onto R71. I did the same thing on R72, and then over here on R75, this is just a 250 on top of a 250, which takes it down to 100. So I have a 100, I think it's 120 here, and 100 here. On the back of the amp you have your serial / parallel FX loop. Put a jumper cable in it. Then you can also set this level here to different values. Of course you want maximum. And this knob here, if you go to the right, volume's going to drop. Put it back up towards the center, the volume's going to increase. If you put the volume towards the left, it's going to decrease again on you. So basically, if you put it in the center, you're going to get maximum output. And you can test that yourself. I believe that's how it works. You could put 6 switches in here. And then over at this end of the amp, all this area between this switch and these buttons here, all this area can support switches.